Ashley Capasso.
Yes.
Welcome to the Foundry, bro.
Pleasure being here.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. How about you?
I'm good.
All right.
Just consumed by ideas and dreams. You know. Do you know what the Foundry is?
No, what is it?
So a foundry is a factory where metal is melted and poured into molds to create various castings and of various shapes and sizes. Now, in our case, we're using it as a metaphor, using it metaphorically, where just like metal is forged in fire, we're forging thoughts and conversations.
Okay. I like that.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm doing this in an effort to reshape African minds.
Yeah.
And doing this through dialogue, through truth, and hard thinking, and bold thinking.
I like that.
You know, I'm in love with Africa, bro. I have this fascination with Africa, and it's coming from current affairs. Like when you watch the news, bro, you see that, things are not going as well as it should be.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff that should anger me about the history of Africa and how it's been plundered. But because we are educated and our parents have paid so much for our education, we have a level of emotional intelligence and channeling it through productive means like open conversations, such as this. So without any further ado, let's get into it, bro.
Let's go.
Are you ready for today?
100%.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. So,
right, perfect.
Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
KZN,
Yeah.
Pretoria.
Yeah.
What's your relationship with these places?
Yo, that's a good question, bro. That's a good question. Let's start with I was very young.
Yeah.
Right. Born in the capital city, Harare. Don't remember too much.
Yeah.
But the bits and pieces of my memory that's there as a young child, my brother, my family, bits and pieces. But most of what I know and remember is from here in South Africa.
Yeah.
So, you could say I came here, maybe I was 4.
Okay.
Lost count.
Around
there. But this is where I grew up, this is where I was raised.
Yeah.
So this is where most of my knowledge comes from. But I do go back home to see, where I actually came from. You know, my father's side, my mother's side, those kind of things. So you really get to see the culture there versus the culture here. Yeah. Completely different. So, in terms of relationship, my parents are going to be watching this, but like the place I find home is definitely KZN because that's where I grew up. Okay. That's where most of my friends are, most of the people I know are. Yeah. That's where I've been most of my life, all the way from grade R to high school, finishing matric there. So that's where I have the deepest relationships. That's where they are. And then Pretoria, Gauteng, was me saying, I think I had enough of KZN now.
I need to spread my wings.
Exactly, trying to explore, trying to spread my wings. So that was the whole idea. Start a new place and see what it's all about. Here's a different culture as well. Like compared to KZN, here it's like a whole different area,
definitely.
It's like where South Africa converges, different languages and so on. So it's a great place. Growing here, I feel like this is where I grew the most in the shortest amount of time. But I've been really enjoying it, and
So your parents, they could have settled anywhere in South Africa. Why KZN?
That's a good question. My dad was the first one to go. Okay. I think Zim that time finding jobs was like difficult and so on. So, and if I'm not mistaken, my dad was like, I'm just going there for a little bit. I'll be back. He saw that life is good that side.
Hey, your dad is giving those the likes of Jan van Riebeeck and those guys that those just kind of, they're just like I'm just going to explore. I'll be back, see what I'll find, what I find.
To see what's going on that side. I'm so probably heard from somebody else that was there. Like come here for a little bit, see how it's like. And then he called my mom and told my mom, bring the kids, bro. This is
found something.
We found something here. So that was early in the 2000s, and we've been here ever since. Okay.
About your upbringing.
Yeah.
What was it that led you to computer science? What were the early signs that this is the direction I want to take?
So with me, I think I was lucky, bro.
Yeah.
It's just something that I've always wanted. You know, I think it came with the curiosity. And then that curiosity...
Brains also, because, I mean, you need the math, you need the science type of thinking.
Yeah, no, it's debatable. It's debatable.
Yeah.
But I always had that curiosity, and the curiosity was especially with like technology, opening up remotes and seeing what's inside, and all those kind of things. So that curiosity was always there, but it basically started broad, like curiosity in general, and then curiosity in technologies and computers like that. And then we went to this space where I wanted to be like a pro gamer. You know, my parents got me a PlayStation, like, hey, dude, I was on that like crazy. So I grew fond of games, and I was really good, man. I was really good, but I realized I'm not pro level good to make money. You know what I mean? So then my question came to be like, okay, how are these games actually made? You know what I mean? Okay. Right? Because I had my own ideas. I want to try to do something. So I think that's where the love started to come through, and such research, and I learned about programming. You write some instructions to a computer, and then this shows up. So I was making like little mini games, what is it called? Ping pong. Okay. On the computer, something like that. So that's where the creative and the curiosity side combined. Like, this thing gives me the ability to be creative, as well as the curiosity to build things. You know what I mean? So that's where the love. So after that, I knew what I wanted to do. Okay, I need to learn how to program. Go on the internet, search around computer science. That's where you learn how to program. So by that time, I thought that's what computer science is. You go there, they teach you how to program, you leave. I was very wrong. But
what did you find?
That's part of the learning process. It's a broad field. There's a lot of maths. It's a science at the end of the day. And programming is just a tool when it comes to computer science. So it's literally like learning engineering, right? And then you like using what is that thing called? A sorting, that thing they used to weld on circuits and stuff like that. That tool.
I see that thing. That's normally green.
No, that's the circuit board. That's the welding thing.
I don't have to get into the technical part. I see what you're talking about. I see what you're talking about.
So it's like a tool like that in computer science. It's a tool to run programs, run algorithms, to bring your creative ideas and your curiosity to life. So that's just a component of the computer science part. So that's what I learned at uni. Uni was a whole...
So that's what you found, this thing is more than just... coding.
Exactly. So the nice thing about me was, unlike my peers who were like, I don't know what I want to do when I'm done with school, I knew since the beginning, bro. Like when I was applying, it was a no.
I feel like I know where you're going with this, so let me just get into the next question just to guide that answer, because I see where you're going. So you recently graduated, right? Whereas any other person would have just started setting up a LinkedIn and start searching for jobs, and applying. You chose the startup route. Now take me into the thinking behind that.
All right, let me tell you the thinking behind that. The startup route is very recent.
Okay.
Because when I was going into it, I was going in to learn how to code, learn how to build software, and get a job. That was the goal. First year, simple and straightforward. Okay. Life changed. Right, my mindset changed because of different aspects, different variables, and so on. I'll get on to that. So, just continuing from what I was saying, I was lucky enough to know exactly what I wanted. Because a lot of my peers are like, I don't know, I want to be low, I want to do accounting. They're like going back and forth.
Wait, still exactly. Your peers in computer science?
No. I'm talking about high school.
Okay, cool.
Just talking about high school. But from the beginning, so when I was applying, there was no doubt in my mind, like, computer science. This is all I want. And then my parents are like, no, you have to choose something different in case you don't get into computer science. Like, bro.
What was your second option?
That's my only option. So, my second option, if I didn't get into computer science, I was going to do psychology.
That is a very
Yeah.
The gap between that
is huge.
Yeah.
No, I was always fascinated by the human brain, you know. I don't know if you know the show called The Mentalist.
No.
Okay. It's a show about this psychologist guy. So he helps solve cases and so on and stuff like that through psychology, understanding human patterns and so on. So that's where my curiosity came, is understanding the human mind. You know? So that was like completely two different things I know. But if it wasn't computer science, it was going to be psychology. But thank goodness it was computer science, you know. But I'm still interested in psychology though. Yeah. But I feel like that's going to be like a self-learning kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, moving on from high school, uni. Yeah, uni was difficult, man. It was very difficult.
3 years, right?
Work. It was supposed to be 3 years. I did 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Like first day, that was like after COVID, you know. Yeah. So I was new to Pretoria. It was COVID time. I wasn't attending classes because of online, not because I wasn't actually. Right. So it was hard. First day was hard, so I didn't do so well in first day. So I had to like repeat a couple of modules and stuff like that. Okay. But after that, I was going ham, bro. Like second year, we went through. Third year, we went through. Like leaving no stone unturned. Like so, it was a lot of hard work, but I had to turn it around. Like it was like my first time like failing. Like you know, in high school, I used to study like enough. You know what I mean? Like enough, pass, get in. But in uni, like I failed for the first time. Like, bro, this is a 39, dude. Like, what is going on? Like, my brain could not fathom that I failed. Like, what is going on? It was something I wasn't used to.
You can imagine.
Yeah, so I had to like really sit down and be like, okay, I have to turn it around from here. But yeah, that was uni. And then end of the year, I'm like, okay, graduating. I want to do honors part-time and then a job. That was the goal. But yeah, man, I talked to some people. Went to meet some people, and now I'm running a startup. Yeah.
Talk to us about that. So you go to uni, finish that, graduate recently. Yeah. Startup. Yeah. Pro King Solutions.
Yeah, that's my company.
Tell me about that. What do you do there? What is it? What do you do?
So, Pro King Solutions. Right. Its main goal is to help businesses. Yeah. Help businesses grow and optimize. That's our main goal. And how we do that through leveraging AI. You know, because AI is a very powerful tool. Yeah. And I feel it's really underestimated, especially here in South Africa even. You know, if you look at the big giants like Google, Meta, they're all spending billions and billions on AI. Yeah. You know, and if you're also a business and you see other big companies spending billions on this specific industry, you must ask yourself, like, why? You know what I mean? So that's our goal as Pro King Solutions. So we come to the business, or the business comes to us, and they just talk to us like, hey, what are your processes? How are things going? How can we help you remove manual processes and automate things? Just to give you more time to do what you want. So we build those solutions, custom and catered to businesses, to just help them improve, you know, save time, more profits. Yeah, that's our main goal as a company. Yeah.
You mentioned Google. Yeah. The likes of Meta. Yeah. Well, Silicon Valley. Yeah. They are spending millions, billions,
bro.
If not trillions.
I don't know.
Trillions is a lot,
yeah? But a couple of billions.
But billions. Couple of billions. So obviously there's something there. Yeah. And the recent push now has been AI. Yeah. So what, in layman's terms, right? Because not everyone is a computer scientist out there, and not everyone is into tech like that. Yeah. So what is AI's potential? And obviously, it's a lot of US, a bit of China that is investing. That is investing in AI. What is it that they are seeing that Africa is not seeing?
I feel like Africa is always behind, bro. Like, I feel like it's always one step behind about what everybody else is doing. And one thing I've noticed from just running my business in general and talking to other business owners and stuff, humans fear what they don't understand. You know what I mean? So they're not keen. When you say AI, they're thinking robots, Terminator, kind of thing. Like, are you trying to bring Terminator to my business? Like, you know what I mean? So first thing that they usually have to do is just sit down with them and explain, like, what is AI? Because AI has been thrown around more than than it used to be, you know? Because AI is just like a broad category of stuff like machine learning, deep learning. Now we're going into the deep computer science. So I don't want to go too deep into that. So the potential is optimization.
What do you mean by that? For the person who doesn't even understand what optimization is.
So technology in general, why technology exists is to make our lives better, improve our lives. Right? Hence, we helping optimize. So instead of saying optimize, we can just say improving. Right? Like the basic term. Just improving. Right? Look at the internet. Right? It made it super easy to communicate with people thousands of kilometers away, bro. Thousands across borders, across seas. You know, also created like a whole industry by itself, online shopping and so on. So people don't have to go all the way to this shop. There's like 100 kilometers away to just buy a single thing. You can just order online. So that made life better in a sense. You know, it gave a lot of opportunities for people to start businesses in their garage. That's how Amazon and other companies started, you know, with the internet. You see what I mean? So that's like the main goal of AI. Obviously, with new technology, there's obviously malicious users out there, but it always comes with how things improve and grow. So the thing that I see Africa is not seeing is what I said initially. They don't understand it. You know what I mean? So it starts with the education of it. So if you can educate the continent better on like what it is and how it can help, you know, show them examples and so on, then I would say that would be the first step. There's definitely more steps than that to carry on. But that would definitely be the first step.
So the thinking is the issue. But what informs the thinking, I guess, is the exposure and education.
Exactly.
So it's a educational system type of problem.
So it is a bit tricky, you know. We would like people to search for themselves. A lot of people do have access to the internet. So if you want to, you can search and find out for yourself. So deeper than an educational thing, maybe it's a people thing. You know what I mean? So it's it makes things a bit difficult in that sense.
So I mentioned like Africa is a fascination for me right now. And there's a lot of stuff that are happening. Obviously, there's a whole lot of potential also within Africa. And we mentioned Google and them investing billions into AI and just technology. I'm going to read you a statement and let me know what you think. And where you possibly, I mean, for you, you could hear such a statement and probably think of untapped potential. You know, so African startups are attracting billions in investment, right? And those investments are going to fintech in Nigeria and mobile money in Kenya. What do you think? Should I read it again?
So you're reading a statement? I'm just thinking about it. To a certain extent, I wouldn't say. Are you saying that the majority of the startups are in fintech? And most of the investments
as it stands right now, if you would look at, if you just follow which countries in Africa, let me say, if you would think Silicon Valley, if you would think technology, or let me not even say just technological hub, it would be in the fintech space. A lot of there's no tech, or at least that I know of, there's no tech buzz that is happening anywhere else besides fintech in Africa. And that's happening in Nigeria, Kenya. I mean, in Nigeria, I think it's Kenya. They have this M-Pesa. But it's a mobile money thing type of, in a nutshell, fintech. Within Africa, investments are going in that direction. What do you think of that?
I feel like it's attracting investors because I would believe other investors are profiting from it. I don't know if that makes any sense. And in Africa, that is very needed.
Yeah.
You know, instead of transferring money real quick all around, especially in the mobile space. You know, because I know a company called Paystack.
Okay.
Right. It was also founded in Nigeria. Right. It's something like Stripe. Right. But for Africa, basically. And then Stripe acquired it. So now it's part of the Stripe brand, but it is still operating here in Africa and so on. So when you see something like that, where US companies acquiring that company in that space, investors will be more drawn to that space in general. And then the process basically cascades.
Yeah.
Like if this person is drawn to it, then, you know, it's going to carry on like that.
Yeah.
But I see another issue that Africa has is they're very risk averse, you know.
Okay. I speak English. What does risk averse mean?
They don't want to take that many risks, you know. Like I feel in Africa we focus on building small businesses, which is very different from startups.
Yeah.
You know, small businesses are like, okay, we're trying to bring money in, you know, we're trying to create a profit and so on, kind of thing.
Just building a business to survive.
Yeah, building a business to survive. And then if it grows, it grows. You know, there's nothing like scale. You know, like scale to billions of users like Airbnb. If Airbnb started in Africa, like, bro, it would still be like local here. Dude. All these houses nearby kind of thing. Now, like for us, Airbnb was in the US. So it was, it became global, you know. You understand what I mean? So, like, it's also like an investor mentality here. Like, no one is willing to invest 1 million in 9 startups just for the 10th one.
1 million each.
Yeah, 1 million, just for the 10th one to return them 100 mil.
It's like a Russian roulette of sorts going on.
So that's how it works in Silicon Valley, right? People are betting as much as they can on so many startups because they know at least one of them is going to blow up. So I can put in 10 million in 10 different startups. I know at least one is going to give me 100 million back. Here in Africa, no. There's no.
But maybe we just don't have the money to play around like that.
I wouldn't think so. Like, there's a lot of rich people here. What they do, they invest in stuff like bonds, property, you know, farming, agriculture.
There's not much room for innovating when it's like that.
Putting money in an idea, like if you go to like a rich person, like, hey, I got an app that people can request taxi rides with strangers and stuff. No one's gonna take you seriously. But if you come and like, hey, I wanna buy this land and farm corn or something like that, right? Like, they'll send the money to you, bro.
I mean, I guess it goes back to it goes back to about it being a hub. I mean, if I would go to Brazil, I would be sure that probably 1 in 10 is going to be the next Neymar or Messi or whatever. You know, because you know about, okay, that's where the talent is found in this regard, football. You know, you go to San Francisco, Silicon Valley, you know it's a tech hub. 1 in 10 is probably, so now the probability is much higher. So in that case, I'm willing to play with that probability, you know. So here in Africa, it's not necessarily a hub for anything. Also,
you see what I mean?
San Francisco didn't start like that.
Right. It just so happened that I don't know which company was first. I don't know the history, but one huge tech company was situated there. Right. And then it so happened another one just joined them in that space, and then that's how Silicon Valley was built. You know. Now, other people want to be closer to those companies as well. So like, let me also start my company there. And it grows. And it carries on like that. But if you don't even give Africa a chance, then like...
I guess it needs to be given a chance. But I feel like there's still a lot that still needs to be done in the continent. Like, just to get to that level, there's so much that needs to be done. So much groundwork to be laid. Now, going back to that statement about fintechs and Nigeria and stuff. So I think Africa is still very much underdeveloped. And the reason why I think fintech is doing well is that a lot of people are looking to transact and transfer money much easier. And also there's a digital divide, you know. There's still places that are very rural. All they have access to is a mobile. You know, they don't have Wi-Fi to begin with. So for them, it's still USSD. you know, like SMS, what, you know. So very...
Star 141 here.
Yeah, Star 141, you know. So hence, I believe like companies like M-Pesa are doing that well because they are addressing an African problem, you know. You mentioned something that made me think about Vusita Mbekwayo also, but now I'm thinking about him again in the sense that African startups or innovators are solving first world problems in a third world country or continent. Yeah, so
that's true.
That's what we are seeing with a lot of tech startups, I guess. And for Pro King, do you think you are also... Where are you in that statement of solving first world problems in a third world country?
I think we are there solving first world problems in a third world country. It's a very interesting thought because I'm very well versed in what's going on in the innovation space.
Yeah.
You know, like what's happening in the US, what's trending right now, what's new. So I'm like there in the front lines of AI, you know, building AI agents and so on. So my thought process is not really like what's going on here where I'm at. I'm thinking of the next big thing globally. You understand what I mean?
This is why people like you need to follow such a podcast, because now we bring it back down to Africa, you know, and the issues that Africans face. Yeah, but continue that thought.
No, you're right. That's something I have to think about actually.
Yeah.
That's a very good
I'm glad we got to something, bro. I'm glad we got to something.
that's a very good point. Because you're right, because there's a lot of problems here, man, that can be fixed. Like, don't need some innovative, crazy AI product or anything. Just something small and simple, you know, that could really help this side. But
I mean, there's still a lot of potential, bro, in Africa, and leads me to another statement that I'm going to read you, and just your take on that. So I think to operate in Africa, you have to understand the playing field, where we are at as Africans. Have to understand that there's a lot of minerals. I mean, most of the tech, it needs certain parts that are found in Africa. You know, I mean, you see that type of stuff. So we have that, but now we have no processing. There's no secondary sector. It's non-existent. So that's one of the issues. I've read somewhere that if you want to be successful, if you want to start a successful business and you don't know what business that is, look at what the government is not doing. Look at what's missing. You know, address a need. You know, it's cliche. Address a need. So in Africa, there's so many issues that are happening. So much potential as well. Which brings me to the statement that I'm going to read you. By 2050, 1 in 3 young people in the world will be African. This is either our greatest opportunity or our biggest threat, depending on how we prepare.
People on the planet will be African.
Yeah. That's crazy, right? 1 in 3.
How do we even reach there, bro?
Understand this. Africa, there's like 1.5 billion people. Roughly. And the average age is like 18, 20, round about there. So the average African is young people. Compared to the West and Europe, especially Europe, whereas the average age is 40.
I guess.
So it's older people. So now the reason why they say 1 in 3 young people in the world will be African, because now these young people, they're obviously gonna produce more. You know, they are young, they're gonna produce more, and by that time, the world stage will be filled by Africans, in the sense that the people on the world stage now, they will have retired. You know, young people. So the population, or rather the what's the term called?
Demographic.
Not demographic, but there's a decline in. Yeah, it just has to do with the age and the fact that the average age, especially in Europe, the average age is 40. You know, so it shows that there's a decline. You know, there's not much young people, whereas in Africa, it's just young people. So that's how you get, if you follow that thought, that's how we're going to get to 1 in 3 people in the world being young by 2025. There's a lot. Hence I say follow that thought, and so this was just a fascinating statement for me, and in the sense that there's great opportunity and also a big threat. And it's all based on how we prepare. You as a young person, how would you go about preparing, and what do you think we should be doing to prepare, for this?
Education.
Dude,
it's gotta be education. I feel like that's my first thought, bro. Education.
And especially knowing that the world is going digital. I mean, it's only gonna go digital,
and not just like school education. Like I don't know if there's another word, like not street smarts, but how can I say, like living life kind of education, stuff like investing, those kind of things that we're not really taught in school. Like, I feel like education in terms of the technical side of it, we're up there, you know what I mean? We could be better, but we're up there. But I feel like we're lacking like the education of like how to live, like where do you go from here? You know what I mean? Because we have the education to be employees. You understand? But I don't believe we have the education to be business owners. To look for these opportunities that you're talking about in the government, to find processes, to build those things, you know what I mean? So that's one thing that I would say would definitely have to happen. That increase in education in terms of that aspect there,
What does the peak of your career look like?
Bro. You wanna know, dude.
I want to know. I'm asking, so I want to know. Like, this is Ashley at his peak.
Youngest billionaire in Africa. Like, that's not influence, but change, bro. Radical change. Because right now I'm starting with helping businesses out, but while doing that, I'm building relationships with those businesses.
Exactly.
Do you understand what I mean? For example, let's say like an agriculture business that needs like some AI calculations to calculate crop growth and, so on and stuff like that.
And that's another space.
Connect with them.
They call it agri-tech.
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 That's pretty cool. Like connect with them, help them grow, help them achieve that. If they grow, we grow as well. Then grow to another space. Maybe in law. Help lawyers in the law tech space as well. If they
so Ashley, bro, you need to be well versed in every industry.
You see what I mean? But I feel like when it comes to that, there's core. Right now, we're just focusing on the core business stuff. Like every business needs to have this, and this, right? And in those systems, we can optimize those systems. So it's hard to think of an example right now. Let's say HR. Like most businesses have HR, right? We can come in there and put some AI processes there to help the HR stuff. And then from that space, we start with the core stuff, and then we move on to more niche stuff like crop calculations, for agriculture, contract or agreement analysis for the law space. FinTech, we're doing financial analysis with AI, predictive models and stuff like that. So we want to be part of that. So if the agriculture grows, we grow. If the law stuff grows, we grow. If the FinTech stuff, we grow. So that's like the far away goal. Right now it's super far. So we also as a company want to create products as well that we own, because right now building that solution for them is for them, it's custom to them, you know what I mean? So we'd like to build products that, let's say you're in the agriculture space and my friend was also in the agriculture space and they use one of our products. And then when you talk to them like, bro, you're not using a Proking solution product for this thing. Like, dude, like, what are you doing? You're so behind, kind of thing. Use those things that help you tremendously. So we also want to reach that stage as like the company name. Like we have those products in those spaces. But we also want to build a relationship with the different businesses across the world. I should say Africa right now.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
I see the vision. Oh. I just had a thought now. Back to Silicon Valley again.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a need for an African Silicon Valley, or do you think we can have our own unique type of valley, I guess?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like Africa's not even there yet, bro.
Yeah.
To have its own Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Like, we still have, as we said, third world problems that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
But
who do you think should be fixing these problems? Because I imagine now, as tech people, you need the environment in order to operate. I feel like in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say, I feel like there's a lot of groundworks that the government needs to lay, that leaders in Africa should fix so that tech people can thrive.
Yeah.
I guess it goes back to, if we do not have the infrastructure, if we don't have Wi-Fi, then we can't operate.
You know, like stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That's my main worry, that kind of infrastructure. Like, if you want to build like a Silicon Valley like area, and you ask the government for funding to set up fiber across this area, then there's people in the villages starving that need money or housing. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes a bit tricky when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So whether we're building a Silicon Valley like thing or our own space, I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I get you. And this is what I love, bro, because now my mind is running, you know? Like, it's running, and this is what I'm trying to do with this podcast, is to just have conversations addressing or speaking about certain problems that we have in the continent. And if with every episode we can get one step closer to the solution, or one of the solutions, then that's a win for me, bro.
Yeah.
You know? So, the reason why I asked, what does Ashley Kapaso look like at the peak of his career, is you said you want to be the African billionaire.
Youngest
African billionaire. Yeah,
you know.
I get it, though. Yeah. So once you reach that stage, there's a lot of philanthropy going on. I mean,
sure. 100%.
So
that's like the main goal.
So what does your philanthropy look like? What type of issues will you be addressing, or will you be part of the problem? Sending us viruses and stuff, just so your investments can
Nah, not even, bro. Not even. I definitely want Africa to grow. But I feel like it's not as easy as it seems. You know what I mean? I don't feel like money can fix the problem.
Definitely.
No, I feel like it's a whole mentality change that needs to happen. You know what I mean? So it's something that's going to be really... I can definitely play a part.
Yeah.
Right? Because people like, Mr. Beast, YouTube stuff, he's coming to Africa, in Kenya, building water holes and stuff like that, doing those kind of things. So it's like, that's one aspect of it, but like, I'm trying to make a better impact than that. Like, instead of third world country, I'm trying to make it to go up then to the first world country, But that's not a money problem.
Yeah.
That's a mentality problem. So I could have all the money in the world.
What do you think is the issue with the mentality?
Sure. I feel like it stems deep, bro.
Yeah.
From our past and our history.
Yeah. Africa has been through a lot.
It's like how it's been colonized, what happened after.
Yeah.
I feel like it stems really deep.
For the West to expect us to be normal after all that is flipping diabolical.
So it's, I don't know. When it comes to that, I really don't know what we can do when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I need to study some psychology or something.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could have a psychologist up next. It would be nice to just get the psyche of Africans.
Yeah. Because you just made me think of something that I heard, bro. This is crazy. Somebody said, if you take all the money in the world right now, and distribute it evenly amongst everyone. Yeah. Right? Sooner or later, that money will be back in the same pockets again. Let that sink in a little bit.
It's sinking.
Let that sink in a little bit.
It's sinking. Do you know why that is?
Mentality.
Yeah.
Mentality.
Yeah. Consumerism.
Sooner or later,
yeah,
when people have those millions who were poor before, they're just gonna go ham and spend it and go crazy. And where they're gonna spend it? Maybe buying shoes, buying cars. Dude, it's gonna go back to the same billionaires that
the same people that had
you know what I mean? But obviously there's gonna be outliers. You know, like if I get $1 million,
there's gonna be those outliers, but it's like
but
1%.
Exactly. If you talk about the majority, it's probably gonna go back in the same pockets where they started.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna be thinking, okay, how do I make money? How do I build this business again?
Because bro, it's so crazy how the economy is owned by like a handful, bro.
Yeah.
These multinational corporate, like look at South Africa alone. Everything that you spend on, some of that money that you spend, it goes to your hand, Rupert, dog.
Yep.
Because how many companies that does that guy own that is within our households?
Yeah.
You know? Can pick a product right now like Sunlight. He probably has something, I don't know who owns Tiger Brands, but you know, your Tiger Brands, your Unilevers.
Yep.
Dude, it's all when you go to crazy stuff. When you go to the store, you look, can't think of examples, but they have this illusion of choice.
Yeah. Like Handy Andy or Mr. Muscle, the same.
It's the same company, bro. It's the same company.
Yeah.
So you're right when you say it's all gonna go back to the same hands all over again.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been too serious. Let's
lighten up a little bit.
Let's lighten it up. Let's do a lightning round.
Alright.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Gonna ask you a question and just quick answers.
Yeah.
Front end or back end? Back end. One startup you admire?
Huh?
One startup you admire?
Yo, there's so many of them, bro.
One, dude.
Facebook, bro. Mark Zuckerberg, how he was incredible, yeah.
Code with no internet or pitch to investors with no prep?
I would say pitch to investors, no prep. Bro.
No prep.
I feel like I'll be able
Coding with no internet is virtually impossible.
Dude, especially in this world of AI, bro. Like I'm stuck. I need to search something. I'm like, oh no, chat, help me.
Yeah. In one word, finish the sentence.
Yeah.
Africa's future is
promising.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the right mindset.
Yeah. What do you do, bro, when you're not coding?
Bro. Okay. There's two parts to this answer. Few months back, if I'm not coding, I'm probably sleeping or eating because I enjoy coding.
Yeah.
So in school, had assignments ready to code. I submit the assignment. I have free time. What do? I code more. Something like, my own side project or something.
Yeah.
So, because I enjoyed it, like relaxing time, I would like to code because that's what I enjoy. But now these days, like my coding time has decreased drastically. So now I'm working on my business, not in my business. Because when I'm coding, I'm working in my business. But when I'm not coding, I'm working on my business. Hence sales, marketing, some business administration. Because I'm trying to get the business to grow. Some finance as well. So I've been learning a lot. Like there's a lot involved in starting and creating a business. But other than that, hey man, that's me.
If there's any business people out there listening, what aspect of Proking Solutions are you struggling with that anyone out there could possibly reach out and be like, yo, I can help with this?
Right now, I got everything sorted right now. Wait, no, not like that. Yeah. I mean, like, I've been struggling with marketing. I've been struggling with finance, but we have people helping with the finance stuff. We have people helping with the marketing stuff. I would say sales. But that's something I'm also working on as well. Because I also want to learn how to sell as well. I feel like selling is a very valuable skill to have in general as a person.
For real.
To learn how to sell anything. But sales. If anyone's really good at sales out there, Because as I said, you know how humans fear what they don't understand? Like this AI thing. When I say AI, they become, you know, but if a salesperson comes through and helps explain or convey the value that AI can bring, I feel like that'd be powerful.
So if there's any salesperson out there listening, we need you. Come forward. Maybe let's chop chats and let's see where we get in terms of sales. Now, Kapaso.
Yes.
I'm gonna get personal now.
Okay, let's go.
I'm gonna get personal. I've never seen you sad, bro. I've never seen you anything else but the Kapaso I know.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And looking at your background, where you come from, I mean, you moved from Zim.
Yeah.
Zim is not that great, bro.
Hey, man, listen,
but you were young.
I was young, so I didn't experience it to that level or whatever.
Yeah.
But if my parents moved out, then it must have been.
Yeah. So going from Zim to KZN, that's a big change.
Not really when you're young, bro.
Yeah, I get it. You know? Okay, because now you are much more malleable.
Yeah.
I think you. Okay. Yeah, but it tells me that you are not a stranger to change and uncomfortability.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think one of the monumental moments in your life was being shot.
Yeah.
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 I understand. I get the whole getting shot thing.
Yeah.
But now my thing is the psychology behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, since you also mentioned that if you were a computer scientist, you'd be a psychologist.
Yeah.
Most people to get shot, but not just to get shot and also have your leg amputated, that would crush any other person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you are still here.
Yeah.
You know, and you are still pushing.
Yeah.
You still have this positive outlook on your life. You're thriving, bro.
Yeah.
You're not just suffering. No, dude, like
I don't know. I'm trying, bro.
You're thriving, bro. Well, at least you have a leg up, better than most people.
Yeah.
You know? So take me through the psyche.
Yeah.
Of just that whole thing. You get shot.
Yeah.
Right, showcase. I'm also curious to find out what led to your leg being amputated. Could it not just have been healed? You know, at what point did the doctors get to a point of, we need to cut it? You know? Yeah, take me through the psyche first and maybe what point it led to, we need to cut it, and just take me through the psyche behind, like, months after that, the healing process. What were your thoughts? What were you like during that time? Did you feel like your world is caving in? Like, it's the end of the world, it's chai? Like, well, what's the psyche behind that?
Okay. So you want me to start with the process or the psyche? Which one?
The process.
The process. Okay, so what happened was, it was a robbery.
Yeah.
Right. He shot first, asked questions later. Right. So when he shot, he hit a nerve. Right. Then at that moment, my leg just became dead. I can't use my leg anymore. All right. But my right leg was fine.
Okay.
So meantime, we're at the beach. So I'm like, hey, there's no one here at the beach. I don't know if you know KZN, but like, you know, there's like designated beaches like South Beach, North Beach kind of thing. But
I'm familiar with Cape Town. There's Muizenberg, there's Clifton,
But you know, there's there's areas in between where like it's not a designated beach, but it's the coast, you know.
Okay,
So like those kind of areas, so there wasn't really anyone around. Right, cool. So I'm like, okay, I gotta do a plan. If I don't do something, I won't bleed out. Right? So I do my best to just hop near houses.
Yeah.
You know, because there were like houses on the coast. You know, KZN loves having houses right near the beach.
Yeah.
So I went there, shouted for some help, and then people came through, and then they helped me out, and then they took me to the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? So there were way more details in between that.
Yeah.
The time when the ambulance was stuck, that's another thing by itself. So we got to the hospital. The doc was like, okay, we need to do like an x-ray thing to see what's going on. So they stopped the bleeding and everything. So we need to see what's going on and so on. So like, okay, this was this nerve. My bone was fine, the bullet missed the whole bone. So like, okay, we're just gonna surgery, connect the nerve, hope for the best. That was the goal, right? So they did that, right? I think it was a successful surgery. But the problem is my muscle went too long without blood. So that's my calf. Right, the whole calf. And calf, I didn't know how important a calf is.
Yeah, up until that point, yeah.
Right? So, okay, meanwhile, at this time I was in pain, so I didn't have time to really think about what's going on, right? I'm in crazy amount of pain, right? So, they stitch it up, they hope for the best. Bro, I'm in pain for like 5 days, right? No healing, no, at least gradually, day by day, it's becoming better, right?
Yeah.
I'm in pain every day, like nothing's changing.
Yeah.
Doctor's like, nah, something's wrong here. Let's open up and see. So they open up my leg again, see the muscle is gray. There's no blood. Gray, yeah. There's no blood inside it. So at that point, that means the muscle is dead, it's chapped.
Yeah.
Right? So the doc was like, hey, listen, we gotta remove your muscle because it's dead. There's nothing you can do about it. And obviously we tried to, okay, they gave me 2 options, right? So remove it and keep my leg there, but it's gonna be just chilling there, not doing anything. Yeah. Like back off his arm.
Yeah, like I just thought of that as well. Yeah,
so it's gonna be chilling there, not doing anything. Or we could amputate it and get a prosthetic leg. So yeah, my parents and the doctors went back and forth and so on. But it ended up being just
because a big decision, bro.
Yeah. So in my head, bro, I wanted it chopped, bro. I'm not. I was so much dude. I'm like, just if you have to chop it, just chop it. But obviously, it's not that easy. We have to sign forms and all that. Yeah. So my parents did try to consult different doctors and so on when it comes to that. But then it ended up being the same thing. Like, nah, we can't. Like the muscle is dead, bro. We can't do anything when it comes to that. So it ended up getting amputated, and then amputated, closed back up, and then 2 days after, I was feeling much better, bro. Obviously, after the surgery. It was crazy. But then after 2-3 days after, I could feel like, okay, now I'm healing now. It's less and less pain every single day. And then it carried on like that. So that was like the reason, because the bullet, like, bro, I think, there's no saving that. The way the doctor says it, there's no saving that muscle. So that was the main purpose of the amputation, was the calf. The calf was gone. And it's used to like balance, move your foot and so on, and those kind of things. So that's why I got amputated. Then when it comes to the psyche, me personally, my parents hate it when I say this and everybody else. I was like, it is what it is, bro. It is like, oh, what am I gonna do, man? It is what it is. Like crying won't help, being sad won't help. So in terms of the outcome for that, I was like, nah, it sucks for real. But there's nothing you can do about it. But what really got me emotional was my parents, bro. Like, my mom was crying. My dad was crying. My dad was crying. I've never seen my dad cry. Not crazy that is see your dad cry. For real. So that affected me emotionally. That they were crying because of me. You see, so that messed with me emotionally a little bit. But in terms of the whole amputation, like it is what it is. We move on. Luckily, it was holiday time. So I had time to heal. I think I missed the first quarter because I wanted to go back to PTA. Like, I'm gonna go to school. Like, no, relax.
You were still in high school that time?
No, here, 2022.
Okay. Oh, this is recent, bro.
It's recent, 2022, bro. 2022. So I'm like, hey, I gotta go back to school, man. Like, you know what's happening? Like, no, stay. So, and then the second quarter came. I was like, nah, I can't stay at home and do nothing. So then I just went for the second quarter, because I think I wrote like a sick test because I missed the first semester test. And then that was it. Just went through physio and stuff like that. Got my prosthetic leg and so on. It turns out it's the mechanics for walking are harder than I thought.
With a prosthetic leg,
bro. There's a lot of physics and angles and weight distribution when it comes to walking, because it becomes tricky, because every step I take, I'm taking chances, bro. Like, because you put your weight on this thing, then you go and then it flicks forward by itself. So I can't tell if it's there or not, or in the right place. So you just have to trust yourself that it's there. And then you take the next step, flick it forward, next step, flick it forward, next step. So every step I take is by chance. I don't know if it's there or not. But in terms of that, man, it's been... That's how it's...
Why don't you collaborate with a robotics person and then program some type of leg, you know that?
No, bro, there are legs like that, but they cost so much, bro.
And that's the thing, because now I have an aunt of mine that also had her leg amputated. You know, and I guess financially, we are not in the best position to afford her those, or even herself to afford those prosthetic legs. Because I see when she walks, it's like, and I see with you, it's much, it's better than at least,
better, But it takes time,
Yeah. So is there, I guess, within the prosthetic space, how possible is it to make like a low cost, that works?
Low cost is tricky.
Yeah.
Because there are high-end
Wait,
stuff.
why does it have to be that expensive?
Bro,
to
let me tell you what happened to mine. My leg, the whole thing cost around $250,000. Yeah. Right. So initially you wanted those high-end ones, those electronic ones you charge, you got computer set up. That was like, I think 1.2 mil. Medical aid was like, no ways.
That's a house, bro.
Bro, medical aid was like, no ways. Forget it. You're young, you can have the hydraulic one.
Yeah.
The electronic one.
So yours is hydraulic?
Yeah, it's hydraulic. So that's the one we to sell for.
Yeah.
I'm happy. And most people don't even have one.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful when it comes to that medical aid, when it comes to that. So this one works fine. So it's a combination of practicing a lot of physio when learning to do things. But the issue is the materials to build this thing. Like, why is mine so expensive? Because it's got carbon fiber, titanium, those, because you want it to be light, right? But as well strong to handle your weight, some energy distribution stuff. The hydraulic system itself is also expensive. So to set up that whole thing is like, it's not cheap, you know what I mean? So it's tricky, but slowly but surely, people are going into like 3D printing.
Yeah.
Right. So 3D printing is really helping the space out for prosthetic legs, prosthetic arms. I think there was like a recent video I watched by MKBHD where they had like this robotic arm thing. It was like, it's super cool.
Yeah.
And it's affordable, whatever that means. But yeah, I think it's definitely the materials and how niche it is, because it has to be designed to you specifically.
Yeah.
Like I had to go through a whole process where it sounds very weird. Like they were grabbing my thigh, like they were molding it kind of thing, and then they waited to dry, and then like they take it out, and then they build like a carbon fiber socket for that specific model, whatever kind of thing, right? So it's very tailored when it comes to that as well. So it's a lot of bits and pieces that make it expensive, but with the 3D printing space and the rise of technology, slowly but surely, I think we'll get to some stage. Maybe not electronic, maybe not hydraulic, but something that will make it better for them to walk around and stuff like that,
Interesting stuff. At what point did you get to being able to joke about it, or at least take jokes about your...
Immediately, bro.
Immediately. That's crazy. Because I met you in 2023.
2022.
I met you 2023.
You sure?
At AV. 2022, I was still in Nalu North. I moved to Pretoria in 2023.
Okay.
Met you sometime at AV. Hey, AV is a story for another day.
Another story there, bro.
Probably going to talk about it with Zane and just speak about how we met. So we're in the room, your room with our PK.
Yeah.
These guys are making jokes at the first time. For me, it's like a sensitive thing, dude.
Yeah.
See these guys. As a PK are full of nonsense. Because at one time, didn't they take your leg and were like...
Exactly.
So it's stuff like that. So for me, the very first time, I was like, I'm like, all right, gents, all right. So I saw how you took it. And then, it became, I saw, okay, this guy is chilled, And I commended that. I'm like, to be able to take jokes about it, and you also make jokes about it, I'm like, damn, this man is mentally tough,
I wouldn't say that, dude. Like, people say that a lot.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just who I am.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel that toughness of trying to take it, I don't know if that makes any sense. It's just natural to me.
Yeah.
It's just like, it is what it is. Right?
Damn, that's interesting. But good conversation, bro. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah.
This has been The Forge. On the next episode, I'm speaking to Zane again. Okay. I told you Zane is sort of like a co-host of sorts. So if I don't have a guest, I'm going to have Zane. Okay. So I have Zane on the next one again, and we are talking about white people. Interesting topic.
What do you mean white people? Is there like just white people in general? Caucasian, Afrikaans?
Yeah, just white people, European, the white people that we have in Africa.
Okay.
Because I told you, I'm fascinated with Africa right now, and I am trying to figure out what's our relation with white people. How should we relate to white people?
Yeah.
I mean, I go to a white church.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd love to. I mean, Zayn also goes to a white church, so I'd love to have someone who doesn't.
Okay.
Is not in contact with white people that often, you know. Yeah. So for me, my relationship with white people is, I once said to someone that I've never experienced racism. So my perspective on them is completely different. You know, it's much more, what's the word? I'm not as hostile to them, because they've never been that hostile to me, or at least I've never seen it. I mean, because they do say apartheid never ended; it just went to private school, you know. Crazy. So it's much more subtle. So I'd love to also speak to a white person. So if there's any white person watching, or maybe we might reach out to one of our friends who happen to be white and just get their perspective and their role. I mean, what's trending now is the 49 Afrikaners that went to the US. So I also just want to unpack that with Zayn and just figure out where we stand as black people and white people. Not from a hate or racist point of view. Neutral conversation, you know? Before I forget, there's something that I'm doing with this podcast and with this book. So with every guest that I have, I need a word and a signature. An autograph of sorts. So one day when you are a billionaire and we can't just reach you, you know, and people are calling you or in the streets like, yo, can I have your autograph? You know? I want to say it started here. Okay, you know? And just a word of wisdom, word of the day, just something that you live by that... we can know Ashley by, you know. No problem. So do that for me right there.
No problem. This year I've been living by one. It's basically like a paraphrase of a Bible verse.
Like giving Jesus answers. Giving Jesus answers.
Even saying, you know.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and you know, do the most. Like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this episode and got anything from it, please just let us know in the comment section what you learned and what you would love to see from this platform. Otherwise, I enjoy so much doing this and having these conversations. Hopefully it adds value or at least teaches you something. And please let us know what you would love to see on the platform and what we are doing wrong. I mean, we are open to criticism, constructive criticism. Don't just hate just for the sake of hating, you know. Let's build. Let's go. Seek first the kingdom of heaven.
Yes.
Not the kingdom of God?
It's a good question.
Same thing, right? Same thing.